Hello. I'm playing with my software. Let me see something. How you doing? Welcome. It's so fun to play with these things. I'm showing a new library. Just came out. Made it available last night. Crazy bunch of you have already bought it or writing nice comments on the walkthrough video. Thank you. It's a crazy library, isn't it? It's fun. It's really fun to have synthesis and get the phrase, these types of things. Those are phrases. Those are actual samples inside of the Omnisphere sample memory that are now tempo locked. Wonderful Airwave, who I love to give credit to because he was the pioneer of this, came up with a system of using granular, the arpeggiator, and a specific type of an LFO set up a specific way. And now anything can be tempo locked audio-wise. You can import your own audio. I'll probably do a video showing how to do that. So we can take, like if we were to take this and turn everything off, right? If we're going to turn off the ARP, turn off granular. Let's see here. If we go to the list and say sample the speed position and mute that. Now it's playing 6. We don't want to hear it. We just 5, and then we go over here and make the envelope long. And what else do I have going? I'm filtering. Oh, and there's this going on. That's where the original sample is for part 5. Right? But by using these techniques, we instead have it doing it's locked, it fits into the system now. So it's making new things from the stuff that was there. So anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to a fun live stream event. It's always fun to see all of you guys here. Yeah, so let's see. Let me clean up some memory things so I make sure that I've got enough DSP power to do what I want to do. So this is a new library. Let's see if I have the artwork up if I go over here. Yep. Oh, but it doesn't show it there because I built the multis and stuff. Okay, fair enough. So let's initialize this multi really quick. And go to a patch in the library. So we go here. Look at, I only have 3 libraries loaded right now. Isn't that amazing? It's not 40 libraries. This is OmniPulse 3, and I'll show you the things that I'm the most excited about, and that would be right here. These string things just are, come back here. Really cool. I love this one here. I love all of them for different reasons, but this is one place where I was able to find something. I'm using some unique samples and arpeggiated techniques and cool modulation tricks and stuff to get a strings. Sounds like a bowed string orchestra. You will not find this sound with that rosiny attack in Omnisphere. You've got the ambient strings, but they don't have the attack, and I found something to put the attack on and do it in such a way. And not only that, but we could call in ModMate and use this to change volumes here. And you can go to Synthy stuff because it is samples that are being synthesized in Omnisphere. So I wanted to make sure that I kept, it's a synth, but pretty amazing. Calling India, this is the fun. Slow this one down just a little bit, but this is one using some of the arpeggiated, the bending techniques that you can do in Omnisphere's new arpeggiator. I'm just playing one note. Well, 4 notes because it's octaves, but if I play one note. And the second version doesn't have the bend, so now it's just... So it's fun. And then there's marcatos with different amounts of busyness in what they do. So the straight 16th notes is just... And I can show you this. And you could bring this... But from here they get to be crazy complex. When you get to the more of these, just playing chords. You change things in the rosin. So if you do that while you're playing it, you can get even more like life, because one thing's to change. You don't want to sound the same when you're trying to do a string kind of things. So these picture in picture over your mod mate. Oh yes, let me fix that. That's what I was curious about. I'll put that down here in the corner there. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have another camera set up, but I didn't set it up today. So. There. Thank you. So you have the ability to do all those kind of fun things. Hello, Harold. Hope you're doing well. Love the new library. Good. Thank you. Yeah. Really last night, Sleepy. Oh, thank you. Good to see you, Biggie. Yeah, so this was a really fun library. The other thing that was unique and different, and I showed a little bit at the beginning, was these phrases. All of these different phrases. Let's do, I love where is Tabla Talker. I love this one. Right? So this is one, and you have lots of people if you go, this is the pitch one. But they're tempo locked. If I go over here, I turn this off. I do this, I bypass this. I go to this and I bypass this. Oh, and I turn off granular. That's the original. By using all these different techniques with the LFOs and the ARP through granular and all that. Right? And I can move the sample start. No. I guess I go to granular and I go in here. Wow. I hadn't played with that. So you see it skipping through it. Because it's playing by 16th notes. The arpeggiator is playing 16th notes, and so it jumps ahead. But it allows you to use these phrases. And then if you want, you can go in and like smooth it out. If we go to stack and turn this on, we could go to part 2 and add something else to this, and it's locked. Let's get that tablet talker in here. It's all locked. It's really fun. So it's not playing them perfectly accurately tempo lock, but it's playing phrases with tempo lock now happening. And it makes them into these fun sound design elements that you don't know what they're gonna do. If you want, it's so easy. Let's go to multi. Let's turn up tablet talker a little bit. Right? If you hit the little sample folder, this puts you into the middle of the phrases. And this part of the Omnisphere sample library is huge. There's a lot of sounds here to work with. So you could just click one. So you have all sorts of groove elements available in cool ways. That's cool. So it opens up the door for you to use this part of Omnisphere, which has been a little bit tricky to use, to be honest, because they're just samples. And there's no tempo information. It doesn't say this is 118.5 beats per minute, because a lot of cases this is singer just singing, and tempo's probably fluctuating. But this, using the arpeggiator and the LFO, it forces it into a box. And what you get, you don't know. Everyone's different. It's just very fun. So you can take that and have something else add to it. Let's see, let's go to drums. Go to part 4, that's sine waves here. And off you go. So this part of the library is kind of new, and it opens up. What was fun with this library, Cinefire gives you some new categories that I haven't seen really covered before, and I haven't seen by other libraries in this way. I don't know if anybody else has done the bowed strings to where they have this kind of an effect when you're. Oh, now we're in a. Oops. Yeah, we're in a multi-set with a whole bunch of stuff going on. So it's like, hey. That was funny. So this is a library that was kind of fun to put together. And it all started from pulses. So I have to actually send this. Let's see, initialize. I have to send this to Mervyn so he can check these patches out and say, look what you did. You started this. So those are there. There's really cool basses. The other thing that I kind of went crazy with was all the drum and percussion, the TikToks. These are just so useful. Those types of things can be fun to be built around. Let's go back here and turn stack on again. I'm just going to play around today because, I was up till 3 o'clock getting this done and I'm just completely worn out. But it's fun to get all this stuff going. The fun of the OmniPulse libraries, and I have all 3 loaded, so I could go to part 3. Let's go to OmniPulse 1. Let's go to guitar. So this is one. The guitar, I'd want to play by itself without everything. So you go to multi-mode and go to stack, and right here you can window control. So you can. I want the bass and the drums to stop right there. And the guitar to be right here. Okay, so I'm off an octave, so go right here. And then I have to go to this guitar part on part 3 and go to the main and transpose it. And it's working. Then I go to part 4. Let's get something from OmniPulse 3. Or let's say part 2, just to show you how fun these libraries are all together. And let's add one more part. And let's go to part 5, and let's go to OmniPulse 3. And let's go to the strings, get like maybe one of the 8th note things to be in there. Maybe down an octave, so we go back to the main. Cool. So the rhythmic thing of OmniPulse that's fun is all 3 libraries work together, but in multi-mode they are really different in what direction I was going for. OmniPulse 2 was all about synthetic and cool electronic things that were like right? Busy Mr. Bixby. Wally Likes You. So I was just kind of in that vibe. Right? But compare that to where we go for version 3. It is a completely different whole different world. And the flexibility, having, let's get this back here, all 4 MIDI CCs ready to do all sorts of fun things. Make the bass go away. Kick drum go away. It's really cool. It's a whole different thing. It's more cinematic. The addition of the phrases just kind of pushed me in a whole different place, programming wise. So there's cool things like this is more your just sound design things where it's like fun stuff. Wait, what sleep? Yeah, I don't sleep much. It's part of the Gemini code. Let's see here. So, oh, there's so many of these that are fun to play. Enter the Badman. Enter the Badman. This is one that is a split. And what's interesting with this, if you saw the video last night, I go, I have hidden patches. So you play a note here, and over here, let me sign these up so they show up this way. So we go 4, 3, 2, 1, and I see it better. And another one. So you can do things for a right? And then when you're ready, so all is coming from one multi, so it's really kind of cool. Anyway, the library is 133 patches, 13 multis. I love time passing. This is one that's another split. Remember, you can always hit stack and it will show you what's happening on the setup with the patches, right? So here we have, let's slow it down. Love that low end. This is one that can get carried away with the effects, so be careful. And I'll show you, check this out. This is something I'm very proud of. I have all this going on, and it's 0 dB. So it's all leveled up just perfectly. Must be perfect, darling. So those multis are a lot of fun, and they kind of, what I do quite often, a number of these were made, and then my assistant Taylor, who's back on the payroll, thank goodness, I sent the multis to him, and he saves out the patches, and then I go through and edit the patches to make them, in some cases they're a little bit different than how they are in the multis. In the case of like the hidden patches, they're no longer hidden. If you go initialize the multi and you go to the patches, the bell multis are there. And I want to show you something with those really quick, because remember with these libraries that if you go to something like this and you play a note, it's a lot, right? It's a dedicated phrase. You can't change it. Well, you can go over here and you can change it with the arpeggiator pattern just by, and what I do with these a lot of times, I'll watch this. Here's a quick power tutorial on the arpeggiator. Say blank, make it like maybe one measure long. Right? And then come up with the melody that you want. That leads me to go on. And I want this to be a double. It's still something. And then what's cool is you can go over here and say duplicate the range, and it will double it. So I can have this go up higher and have it maybe be. And And then you can duplicate this range, and now you have a full pattern, and you can go in and change the different notes, and now you have something interesting. Right? And if you want certain ones to be chords, you can go down here and you say set as a chord, and that forces it to be a chord. And so you can do some really cool things where certain notes get the splash of being a chord, you know? Maybe. These are kind of special sounds. You can also do things like, say I want to use this along with the bells. Go to the bells and bring down their velocity sensitivity, and then go to this other sound that you want it to show up every now and then and increase the velocity sensitivity. And that way hard notes will bring in that dong sound, right? The big thing, but lower velocities, it's going to be much diminished. So watch this. We bring this down so we just have a couple places where you have the splash. Have this be a chord. Right? So you can do things like that to take sounds that like take this down even an octave lower in pitch or something like that, so it's even bigger and same here. Make this really sensitive to velocity. Sounds like I'm doing something for Miami Vice. So that's the concept with the arpeggiator. You can do some really fun things quick. Start small, like one measure, and then use these new tools here. There's tools here where you can rotate it to the left or to the right. You can actually move it around so that if, quite often when you're working with an arpeggiator, you make something and all of a sudden right here on this note is the one. And you're like, no, I want the one to be right here. Well, you can use these tools to shift it to the left. Gotta do it a whole bunch of times if I really wanted to do that. Left, 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 left. Two more. Left. There. Now I have. And by doing that, my pattern is totally different at the same time, right? So it's really easy. You get all sorts of crazy stuff going. There's new tools added up here that, you know, it used to be this is where you'd go to get your list of the presets. They're now right here. It's in a different location. And there's still a bug. I hope they'll fix this someday. But if you choose something from a nested folder or so forth, and then you use the arrow up and downs, it goes back to the beginning blank one every time. So you can't scroll through them yet. Someday they might fix that. I don't know. So that's just a quick free little bonus. There's tools here that are really nice. There's also duplicate mirror, which is really cool. So you could say you had something like, say this, and duplicate mirror will reverse it and double it. So if you say like this, it's gonna now have these parts. So it's like a mirror effect instead of repeating it so it does the same thing, right? See if I said undo arpeggiator and I said double it, you'll see that this area now is at the end here. So it's just duplicated it. So it's cool to do the mirror effect if you want for something different to work with, okay? So there's basses, there's chords, the drums, the perk, the pulses. It's a fun library. Really happy with how it turned out. And I'm glad you guys are receptive to it. Let's see here. Hey, Bernie, welcome. Good to see you there. Please take a moment to give your overall impressions. Well, I'm going to do more than that on Lion. I'm going to play with Lion here in a minute and show it to you. This is a really cool opportunity. Hey there, Jason. I hope your stepdad's doing okay. let's see, Sunny was talking about, can you use any slider MIDI controller from ModMate? You can use, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by it. Can you use any slider? Whatever slider you have in your hardware, if you have hardware, you can totally use it. If it's your mod wheel, it shows up as CC1. If you have something else, like if I have this and I move this and I'm on the controller page, I think this one here, right? This is controller CC8. So if I wanted to see this with ModMate, I could go over here and say 8. And now when I move the slider on this chord synthesizer, it moves that so I can see it. Now ModMate is really the main most useful thing is visual feedback, and you can grab like this and control it, which is really cool. It doesn't get recorded into your DAW because it's a MIDI effect above the synthesizer, and the DAW is listening to your synthesizer and it can't listen to ModMate at the same time. They just don't work that way. But what's really useful is to, if you only have one controller, you can use these little buttons, these little boxes, and assign controller 1, or if I have 8, so I right click here and say 8, and then I could have it controlling everything if I wanted to. So, and that when I record that, because it's a physical MIDI CC, it goes into your sequencer, it's recorded, ModMate will get that message back, and as long as it's set the same way, it will play back the way it is now with controlling all those parts. So ModMate is really great for collapsing multiple controllers to one place. That's the main reason I think you guys would be really in. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to have it, because you can, one thing that's really cool is you can reroute the output to Aftertouch. So you can have one of these sliders where you're doing this and you're recording or you're controlling on Aftertouch. And then you can click this and say, this is set to my mod wheel. And now, and then turn it off for 1. And now my mod wheel is being routed to control Aftertouch, which is really, really cool. Because a lot of times with Aftertouch, you have to play it and perform it a certain way. Here you can go back after the fact and just record it in any way you want. You need to then have ModMate stay in place with these settings for the sequencer to play it back. But it can do it, and that's how it works to do it. But that's the power of ModMate, is that you can have just one controller sending out everything or being rerouted to any MIDI CC I want, right? So it's cool. It's cool for that thing. Now, just be aware, if you have MIDI CC1 and you set this up to be control CC67, which is for the effects that we do, right? You cannot, after your pass, go back and change this to CC4. If you do that, it no longer is going to send out to CC67 because you've changed it to be 4 instead of 67. So it's only one pipe, but you can control what it does on that pipe. And that's where it's really, really, really powerful. And if you don't have any outside external hardware or just one controller, you can use these boxes and join them all up to do whatever you want. So that's where ModMate is a shining star. And I can also do the similar thing down here with Show MIDI and have it show all the 5 CCs, pitch bend, as well as these controllers, which is wonderful. So love it, love it. That's all software that's for free at pluginguru.com. Shane Dunn, the wonderful Shane Dunn, in the room with us right now, created that and is the mad genius behind Unify that we'll be bringing out in a couple months. So we're working away. It's going to be so cool. I'm not going to show that today. I'm going to keep it focused. So this library, OmniPulse, number 3, Cinefire, is 25% off until October 1st. If you want to pick it up, there's a link in the my about this video, and it's on the website right now. And as I said, it's 25% off right now until October 1st. There's demos. Bob Didi's made a really cool demo and sent me his 4 patches. So if you go to the author, Bob Didi's is a author in this library for 4 patches that he modified for his demo song and sent them to me so I could include them as bonus patches, which was very nice. Because it's supposed to only be 128 patches, but he sent those and I did one more. So Jesus. No. No. I have to be focused. I'm not good at being focused, but that's the order of the day. So, any questions about OmniPulse? Please shoot them up while I have a sip of my homemade mocha chocolate milk with ice cubes. I like to add Hershey's chocolate syrup, 2 or 3 spoonfuls of coffee, because I don't like a lot of coffee, but a little bit's nice, and then milk and ice cubes, and mix it up. And it's a nice sweet chocolate drink to keep me propelled and going. Skippy, do you have tips about how to set up a complete control keyboard to use ModMate? Well, if you have a complete control keyboard, you've got sliders that you can assign to those CCs so that you don't have to use ModMate. ModMate is here to help people that don't have MIDI CC hardware available. Or wait, it depends on the keyboard. Yeah, Bob is a genius composer and a really nice person. We have a library we're going to do together for Unify. Oh, it's so cool! Can't wait to show you guys someday. Let me see here. I was going to go to, say, the 49. I just want to look to see really quick at the Complete Control 49, what it has. Yeah, it should be something you can set up. Oh, all you have is a mod wheel, huh? If you only have a mod wheel, well, it depends on which complete control you have, because there's different pictures of different ones. Some have the knobs underneath the interface. If you have that, you can set up those knobs to be controllers, continuous controllers in software. I need to do a video showing how to use the, see if I go controller, CONTRO, controller editor. The Native Instruments controller editor, you have software similar to this for the Native Instruments keyboard, where you can set up each of these controls to send out controllers, be what color you want it to be, how you set it up, and once you've done that, it will now work that way, and it shows you which ones you're touching and playing on. Right? So there's software to set that up. Hopefully you have something that have sliders. If you have physical sliders or knobs, then you're good to go. You'll be able to get that stuff to be controlled. Complete Control S61. Okay, Google, show me the Complete Control S61. I don't have a Complete Control. Let's see. S61. What does that look like? Oh, yeah, you've got the, oh, that's the A61. No, I want the S61. Oh, the S61 is a really badass one, right? Yeah. Oh, you should be fine. I don't have one, and I haven't used one. But if you do a YouTube search, sending continuous controllers on the Native Instruments Complete Control S61, that should show you a video on where to go to set that up. A lot of these instruments have some sort of a multi-function where those knobs can be for controlling things here, or you push another button and now it sends out MIDI CCs. So there's something like that. If Mark II, use the Complete Control software to set it up. Yeah, so that would be the similar software to what I have. 61, you should be able to use Complete Control software to assign the 8 knobs to any MIDI CCs you want. Yeah. ModMate is a modulation mate to people that don't have sliders or faders, or they want them to be different controller numbers than what they are. Like, my example is I have a Korg M3 here. And this is an M3 that I did voicing on years ago. And we've retrofitted it for other products that I did for Korg. And somewhere along the way, it has broken to where the touchscreen is busted. And I can't touch the touchscreen. And without the touchscreen, I can't change anything. So I have faders, and they can send out MIDI CCs, but they send out really weird numbered MIDI CCs, and they're not the ones I'm using for what I'm doing here. So in this example, I can use ModMate, and I go over to, come here, and I go over here, and I move something, and I see this is controller number 8. So I could go over here, and I could say controller number 8, I want you rerouted to 1. And now I will play Omnister, and let's go to something that's simpler, and I can. I'm sending out MIDI CC1 thanks to ModMate. If I didn't have ModMate here, it would only be MIDI CC8. But if you have software and you have hardware with faders or knobs, you can set that up so you don't need ModMate. ModMate is a helper, but you don't have to use this if you have control sources that are available to you that you can set up. All you do then is you go to your software and you set it up. Like I set up complete control so that I've got... Here, if I can come over here so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, you can see from here, right? I have all 4 CCs, but I've turned off... Why is it? Hey Shane, this is kind of weird. Check this out. So this is set to 67. This is a... We'll have to check this out in software because there's a small issue to point out. I've got 60. Oh, that's what's going on. It's I gotta set this to 67. It's not ModMate's fault. It's my fault. There. User error. I had set this to MIDI CC4. So because it was rerouting this to CC4, like I was showing you earlier, when I move CC67, you can see over here on Show MIDI, it's registering a CC4. So it's working as it's supposed to, but brain dead Skippy over here needs to set this to 67. And now you can see it doing it. And one's not working here because I have this to CC8, so go back to CC1. All right. Okay, so I'm using these as visual feedback to help you guys see what I am doing. Show MIDI shows it as well, but it's fun with ModMate. What's fun is you can just go up here and play it and right? I can show you what the faders are each doing. That's fun. So that's what it's here for. But if you have faders and knobs at your disposal, you can use those. But ModMate comes into play when you need to route things. Or else if you want to do wacky things, like you could use this and have my pitch bend up, controlling all 4 of these. So when I use my pitch bend down is working. Right, so you can do stuff like that if you wanted to. Let me see if I turn these off. Just curious. Yeah. Because the pitch bend was being told to work as a controller, that makes it so pitch bend up doesn't work or pitch bend down doesn't work. It doesn't work because this has been said, no, you need to be a controller now. So you turn those off and now it's back to, oh wait, turn it off. Right. I don't think it was working when I had this on. Let me double check. Yeah, it's not working when it's on. Okay, so that's how it works. I'm learning as I go here, my friends. Okay, so that's the library for Omnisphere. Fun stuff, good times, bringing new things to the table that it didn't have, that I had seen convincingly before. And so let's change gears. Let me see in the chat real quick. Yeah, you can figure it out, my friend. Will I be able to get Unify for my Christmas present? Hopefully. We're aiming at that being a reality. It's just, as I always say, software takes more time than you expect. But yeah, that's the power of 4 MIDI CCs. You have the ability to change the sound without changing the effects. Whereas if it's all connected to the mod wheel like I used to do, it's doing effects and it's doing all these cool sounds, which is cool. And you can get that again with ModMate if you want to have your mod wheel doing all 4 MIDI CCs. But it's fun to have just control over aspects of the sound to automate. If you just get some faders, get a little Korg nano control, something like that. So let's go to Lion. This is a new plugin that has just come out from Unfiltered Audio. My first tip is to hit the wide button. That immediately gives it a wide display so you can see more information. You can also click down here and drag to make it bigger. So let's make it bigger, like to there, and then we can have this be made bigger to match that. Doop. And then bring it down just a little bit so that it all looks nice. Lion is a new synthesizer from the guys that I showed you guys last week. And there's a reason I showed it to you last week, and that's because Biome is a synthesizer that it's a plugin. It's an audio effect plugin that they brought out that's really, really cool. Let's see here. Oh, and I need to go over here and hit the X button. And I want to tell show MIDI to come flying over here. Oh, and I have to turn this off because I had it set to only one plugin to be seen at a time. Get Lion back up. Get him over here. Okay, we're just about ready to go. And yeah, that looks all right. Okay, so Lion is a new synthesizer. Like I said, these guys created Biome, which I showed last week. And it is always one of those things with Biome, when I play with it, it's kind of like, I wonder what this would be like as a synthesizer. There's some really cool, crazy effects, new effects, this renowned reverb and other effects that are unique, that are only unique and exclusive just to the Biome, the Unfiltered Audio universe. And so they've done it. And it's version 1. It's their first synthesizer, so there's still some things that they need to clean up and get working better. I'm not the biggest fan of the interface, in the fact that this MIDI input I wish would stay because in a little bit you're going to see that we're dragging cables from here over to, actually we'd be dragging cables from here because we're controlling these sources from here. Like here's the mod wheel. You got well, here, let's start from the beginning. I don't want to get it too far ahead of myself. So this is a synthesizer that has, when you click right here, it has some really unique forms of synthesis that they've created. That there's 20 different modes, I believe. Simple ones are your simple waveforms that are the least CPU expensive. The other ones are more combining different oscillators in different unique ways with an effect or something. Noise, they've got a couple different types of noise sources. And they hired me to make 50 patches and do the introductory video. And it was really fun to work with, but it was a little challenging at places because it is new. But the end result, like right now, even though it says mono legato, it's not mono legato. They actually fixed it, and then something happened that broke it, and so they're working to fix it again. So there will be updates adding fixes to all sorts of things like that as they go along. But this is the interface, and let me take you through how it works. So you have one oscillator here, you have another oscillator here, you have your mixer right here to see what's going on. So the full volume of oscillator 1, and then only partial volume for the sub bass that I've created, right? Here's your filter. Really nice filter. Resonance. They have a drive. Without it. With it, you can get a little bit just this. How hard you want to drive the filter. So it's Sounds great. Okay. Then here's your volume gain, master gain. Oh, I guess this is if you're an output to biome and use it as an effect. You could actually go back and forth between the biome effects and these effects. I guess that's what this is for. I never used this, but that's because I wasn't using it with biome at the same time. So below the two oscillators and filter, these guys stay the same and they don't go anywhere. And there's a waveform display over here. Down here are all the effects, and they just show up as a continuing row. And if you add something new, you just go in here and here's all your different effects that you have to choose from. Distortions, cool delays, including tape delays, pitch delays that have repeating pitch in them, multi-tap delays, glitch shift, all sorts of stuff. The reverbs, there's really cool reverbs. A number of these, like the lo-fi, actually have all these different types of reverb presets for the algorithm it's using, and the parameters of the algorithm are so it's multiple reverbs inside of one reverb. And then you get to the bigger reverbs, either the deep reverb, which is just crazy, or the renown, which is also equally crazy, are here. Modulation, they have all the typical stuff, ring modulators, rotary speakers. So you have all of these effects right here. And then down below in the next row, if you double click here, you have macros. So if I wanted to have this knob control the filter cutoff, all I have to do is drag up here. And now I'm controlling filter cutoff. From here. And it's based on the fact that there's other controllers going into that filter cutoff. So you have to keep track of who's controlling what and how they're controlling what. And oh, I got something ringing out. I think, what is this? The renown reverb? Yeah, I have deep reverb on, which just, this thing can ring forever. It's just beautiful. Such a beautiful sounding reverb. And they also have another one that's similar to this called the renown. Let's have it, no dampening, longer decay, and then you can turn on mod rate and depth, so you can have a chorusy. Just beautiful, beautiful reverbs. So that was going in. So what you have below this are your modulation sources. You have here your keyboard. You have note tracking, and the way it works is if you have something tracking note or whatever you drag it to, a new one shows up and it just keeps doubling. I haven't ran out, so you could keep going like this forever. Next to this is modulation wheel, and as you can see, it added another modulation wheel, so I could bring this up to control something in the oscillator. Brings up another modulation wheel source, so I can control something here. So that's how the interface works. It's a visual connection by cables, which you can actually turn off. If you go all the way over here, you can say, what is it right here? Yeah, I don't want to see the cables, or I do. So you can hide them if you want. You can double click to collapse the effects so that they're smaller. That can help with the interface for getting around things, is a double click on them, right? But it can get to be pretty sprawling spaghetti if you start adding a whole bunch of things, because if you want something from the sine wave to control something over here by mod wheel, you gotta sit here and drag like this to get over to that modulation wheel and connect it. So that takes a lot of work, but it's still a unique interface in that you can see this stuff in a cool way. So I applaud them for coming up with a different idea of how to skin the cat, right? You haven't seen this before in quite this way of working, but it's similar to biome. So if you know the biome interface, this is the same thing. Synthesis wise, it can get in some really cool stuff. If we go back to reset preset, the forms, here's our master ADSR, so we can have blending between the sub-os and whatever synthesis you choose here, whether it's you're going between either a saw square on this side. Hello. Here's your square side. Or your saw side. If you go to this side, sine or triangle, and then this blend is to the sub. So you have some cool, interesting ideas for mixing the waveforms. Notice there's a cue, and this is really important to understand right away for the oscillator's pitch. By setting it to chromatic, you cannot get detuning. Half step, right? So it changed it. So if you say no quantize, now you can get it to be detuned. So you can get interesting things out of this just from one oscillator. And then you could go down here and have all sorts of things modulating these parameters that I'm playing with. You can also make it a true stereo oscillator by hitting the S button. Right? Or mono. And there's all these different forms of synthesis. Just imagine all these parameters I'm showing can be modulated to do different things. Here's the fold. You have a bass. Or the high. So if I wanted that to be changing with an LFO, I would scroll over here and I'd say take this output and put it to blend. And now this is connected to control the blend. And the strength of, just one thing to point out, all these that you add, the strength of the amp, this should be called depth. Because it's not 100%, it's 25% by default. So you have to click on this and put it to 100% if you want to go the whole range. Right? If I bring this to 0, it just sits there. So it's getting all that happening from one LFO. And let's add something after this that's like a filter. Let's have this same thing control the filter cutoff. Now, I have a knob here to control the strength of that control source. So it gets really easy pretty quickly to get all sorts of crazy things going. It's like, oh, I want to have a different LFO that's maybe more of like, or you could use a sequencer, like a step sequencer. And the step sequencer, you've got steps here, so you can click here and get this to do something and say, I want to take this cable, so you just grab right up here above it, and it becomes available for me to, let's say, the 8th note. Right? And if I wanted to read trigger, then I would move this trigger, and I would go over here, and I'd set it to be the gate, which is right here, G. So when I play it, I'm triggering the gate to start the step sequencer over again. Now it's not resetting on the sequencer. To do a reset, you'd want to drag over here and put it to gate 2. So you have control over all these types of parameters. So now when I play this, so that's how you program with this on a basic sense. You have all sorts of tools inside of this area to work with. You also have a really bunch of cool things with the random button. They have a global random up here. Let's see. Okay, thank you. If you hit here, it will change it. And if you right click, you can choose how intense the dice roll will be. We could set it to just be like maybe 5%. So it's only going to change things a little bit. And if I like that, I could say, okay, I like that as a starting point. If you want, you can click on each one of these and there's a randomize for just that specific module. So you can do stuff like that. It's really uncharted territory because these are not synthesizer parameter of oscillator types. Ringo is not a type of an oscillator that you've seen in anything else, right? If we go, let's do this. Let's go back to reset the defaults. The down here, I like the stacks. Here's where you get to like super saw. Other things you should know about in the interface. Here's what MIDI channel it listens to. It does have MPE mode if you're using it with some sort of Rolly keyboard type of a thing. Here's your voices of polyphony. It will go up to 16 voices. It can get CPU heavy because it is all DSP. There's no samples in this thing. Legato mode, and whether it's, if you set it to mono legato, then you have legato control and stuff like that for the portamento. Transpose is here, octaves. This is interesting. This is your oversampling, which you can set to 8-time oversampling. I would only do that if you have super powerful computer components to work with, because you will watch your computer like really work out. Let me show you some presets that I created and a few that I know of from other people that I can play. A lot of the stuff in the presets are not my cup of tea, but it's experimental new territory. So. Right? I kind of went back to some of these are out there, where other ones are more, you know, your normal. Here's different basses. Just gonna have a solid sine. That would be very nice when legato mode works. Here's one with the resonant dropping filter. Let me get my do not disturb. I always forget to turn on my do not disturb button. So there. I mean, it sounds really nice. This EQ is sick. You can set it to the frequency you want, and then it's a multiply. It's not a dB increase, it's a multiply. So if you say, here's 1. So it does it with a different terminology, and the effect seems a little differently. It doesn't work the way a traditional EQ works. doesn't seem to be like just a whole blanket. I don't know what it is, but it's really cool. Your EQ for a high end. Similar, and then the mid is. Love how this EQ works. Here's other people's patches. Just to give you some ideas. So this has all sorts of granulizers. A whole lot of stuff going on. You will definitely be able to get sounds that you haven't heard before out of this. If that's your thing, this is a really fun place to explore. Check this out. So some of these pads that I came up with were so cool. This is really fun. As you can see, most of the patches, they did not use any modulation or any of these controls. It's like they didn't, I don't know if they knew that those were there or how to use them. So I programmed it fully. A lot of people did not. So you'll notice that with some of the patches. Beautiful stuff. Pretty cool. Definitely new. There's a couple other pads. If we keep on the beautiful extraction came out nice. And this is using a simple envelope, the AD, to do a pitch EG. That's exaggerated. We'll bring it down really small, so it's just a little bit. So you can mess up the sound. Okay. Cytronic Cloud Bank is another one. This is using some cool things. We are changing things in the superliminal oscillator. So you can definitely go into new territory you've not. Listen to this filter. Really nice. All right, let's get into some out there territory. Oh, let me see. Is there a couple more things I wanted to show? Oh, When Morning Arrives is pretty. Sea of Noise. This is using dust, which is one of their noise oscillator types. So it doesn't sound like white noise. And you have real-time. There's just a sine wave, and here's noise. Then you can mix between them. Take down the noise pitch. If you want to make it a pluck, this will change the envelope. So with these parameters, you can come up with all sorts of cool sounds. This reminds me, if you want a little moment of history, like probably 20 years ago or so, when we were working on Wave Drum, we had an application called SynthKit at Korg. And SynthKit allowed us to put together actual models of anything you wanted in its kit toolbox. And you could do all the physical modeling, plucked, inharmonic, really, really cool stuff. A lot of that stuff ends up being like the string pluck algorithm. All the stuff inside of Korg products derivatively came from development in SynthKit. And we would do things and we would set things up to the controls like this, because that's what you have on a wave drum. You'd have these final controls at the end that would be controlling all the parameters inside of this. You'd open up SynthKit and there'd just be this massive amount of objects that you'd put together to make something unique for the congas and all that kind of stuff. So this takes me back to that day. The vibe of this also takes me back to Absinthe, where you're experimenting and you're coming up with stuff that's kind of like cool and weird, and like I think I can use that in something cool. So this is kind of like normal. It just gets out from there. Right? Just goes forever. This is using the deep reverb, which is a super long reverb. I'm not playing anything. It's just interacting. This is using, if you hear in there, it's using the pitch delay. So I play a note. There's octave shifting going on in the delays. Right? Other things that are out there that are cool. Just has this sound to it. And then we start getting into really out there stuff. This is like one note. Isn't that cool? So it's using a looping random source that's changing pitches of a resonator bank of 4 different frequencies. So And then on top of that, I have an LFO that's over here just doing really cool things to the reverb for the size, mix, time. For this big like. This is another example, Carry On in the key of C. So this is using the resonator bank again, but I don't have anything modulated, but it's all set up to things in C. C, C, E. If you play a high C, it like overloads it. And then if I wanted to, I could play with these pitches. Let's say let's make it in the key of G. G, and say like D. So that's playing a G major chord. So if I play in the key of C, it just doesn't work. So you set this up if you're going to use this resonator bank. You can set it up. You can actually have a track pitch if you wanted to follow you along. Just really interesting. If you're into new sounds, I think you'll hear that in some tracks in the future. Okay, there's two Broken Dreams. This is Dreams Realized, which is using this delay that's got the stereo shift. It's actually taking one side up, and then you hear the other side going down. And if you really want to get sizzly bright, bring up the mod wheel. Yeah, I mean, if you want some Blade Runner-esque things. So it's an interesting synthesizer. It's a little rough on the edges. It's a lot experimental. This is, like I said in the video review of this is New Snow, No Footprints. So you get a chance to work with something that you can really have it adapt to what you want it to do, and you can explore new territory together. That's the kind of spirit behind this instrument, and I love it. I think it's really cool. Let's see, was there other stuff here I wanted to show you? I didn't do any drums. There's a few effect things in here that were cool. My light cycle is dying. Yeah, so it's new territory. It's fun to work on a synth where they're like, just, you know, make sounds that you think will be interesting to people. And so I wanted to make sure my 30 years of programming for Korg means I have to have basses and some leads, and I think I even made a keyboard sound or two. If you go keys, there's some usable stuff, Smoky Club piano. But I made sure they had kind of a lion spirit to them. But then it's a lot of other stuff that's just like, no, all bets are off, all rules are off, turn off the lights, get on the blue light, and get the... go into new stuff, you know? Oops. So it's an interesting synth. If I only was getting one synthesizer, I don't know if this would be the first synth. This is kind of the I need synth other. You know, it's kind of like Omnisphere is kind of the synth other. I've made it so that I have a lot of patches that are straight ahead, you know, like not other, and there's a lot of patches in there, but a lot of the samples and stuff can take you into really cool unexplored territory. And it can do normal stuff too. I don't mean to say it's not like that, but you know, I would start with something a little bit more straight ahead if I was just getting one synth. But for the second synth or the third synth or the 50th synth, it's pretty cool to add to get, it's got a very unique sound to it. If I go through some of the other artists and play what they've come up with, it's crazy. You know? So a lot of people made things that something's a little more clear how you'd use it, and others are like, can you compare Lion, Pigments, and Falcon? Well, Falcon is sample based. If we go to Pigments, that's in a similar thing. It doesn't have as big of a sound. I think that's Isotope, right? No, that's Arturia. Arturia Pigments. Yeah, it's not a similar sound at all. I'd say this is more on the curve towards synthesizers. I tried to really like Pigments. I really wanted to make a library for it, and I've tried a number of times, and it doesn't talk to me. It doesn't. So if you compare that to, it's a whole different universe of fidelity to me. Even though these are out, it's a whole different thing to me. You know, each to each their own. That's why there's so many different synthesizers. And Falcon is a whole different universe. I don't know if I have Falcon up and running. I don't even, this is one of those where I need to use Unify because I can see things alphabetically instead of in folders. So actually I would do that. Let's see if I went double click and I said, I'm going to do this just real quickly just to see if I can find plugin guru. Doggy. And then I have to say, show me these. And I'm going to say, I want to, oh. Yeah, I can't find it. Who made Falcon? Oh, UVI, right? Isn't that UVI? Yeah, here's Falcon. Okay. So, and then I don't even remember if I have this set up. I haven't worked with it for a while. It might have lost its parameters. Yeah. Yeah, but it's sample based. That's something that needs samples to drive it. So it has a lot of synthesis and it's very powerful, for sure. But it's not a synthesizer in the way that Pigments and Lion are. Lion is these are I think that there's wavetable synthesis in Pigments. This is more just waveform synthesis with really cool types of FM. There's other things here as far as the VSO and the experimental waveforms, the noises. They might be having samples done deep underneath or something, but it's not part of what you have access to as a you can't play samples in it and stuff like that. So it's a different category to me. But it has a different sound unto its own. That is for sure. So but again, it's uncharted territory. It's when you play the patches, you will find that there's a lot of artists that have created things that are like this. It's just like, you know. Very cool. Yeah. It's a crazy sound. The sound. It's easy to get like, oh. Wow, you really, wait, what'd you say? So it's similar in some ways to Serum in that it kind of is right there in front of you, and the depth of the sound, it's not as refined as Serum, but Serum's had a long time to be developed and perfected, but it came out pretty solid to start with. This is solid, but it's definitely got a few things that it's like, how does that work? You're doing things in a way that's different than been done before. So that kind of pushes you into new territory, right? All right, I'm going to call it a day. Can we listen to some calm things? Yeah. I don't know if these guys have any calm things. There's a lot of experimented. Well, let's see what we have in our pads. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of calm, but kind of unsettling too. We'd have to go to Omnisphere and play. Oh, let me show you. I love these sounds. So, not that one. Let's go over here. And I got to move my show MIDI to be over here. And then open it back up so you can see what's going on. Bring it over here. This is a cool sound. I love plucks. If you know my love for things, I love the plucks. And this last thing, Snappy Super Unison. I'm having, I think the mod envelope or something is being used. Yeah, mod envelope 3. So if we go over here and look at mod envelope 3. bringing up a splash of reverb right there. If I want to have it do more, isn't that cool? And the pulses, I didn't show you the pulses, so I should show you those really quick. These start really basic because that was originally was asked to make just not deeply programmed. They're very simple. This is one that's using the mod envelope, so I could shape it. And this is the shape that I needed to make in order for it to be synced with other things. So I can go over here and turn on the mixer and go to part 2 and have it play like a drum or something like that, and it'll so there's all sorts of different techniques of because the fun idea behind this is that now you can go through all the wavetables. You can go through, if you wanted to just have it do something like choose a wavetable, it did something kind of cool, right? And then put this in the middle and go modulate that with an LFO. And now you have cool harmonic interest going on, you know? Turn on unison. Right? And I have synth parameters set up for so the pulses are what started this whole library, was making just simple things that were just because you can easily go to the samples, go down here, choose something in the library. Don't use phases. Look for something that looks like it's going to be, let's just say core library, so I'm not looking at everything else. But you can find something that it's funny how much stuff in this synthesizer is like non-typical, you know, or all of a sudden here's a Hammond. Right? So the pulses are a big part of the library. A lot of the multis are actually kind of like with a strong nod towards kind of the pulse concept. So they're in there, buried away, and right? Oh, this is fun. This has a really cool phrase. Check this out. Right here. So cool. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you that are buying the library, I really appreciate your support. Sincerely, you have no idea. Thank you. So You play crazy things like this so you don't know what the real price is. Yeah, that's crazy. Shout outs. Let's do our shout outs from wherever we are. Yeah, it's a vocal sample. If we were to turn all the effects off, turn granular off, that off, turn that off, mute, and a long amp. Here's the original. Turn off the distortion. So that's the original, and then by processing it and adding all these other elements to it, load up. So it's still there, but it's definitely been manipulated pretty heavily. Shout out from Camino, Idaho, Washington. Hey, Ken. Shout out from PDX. Yeah, we're having fun here. Having fun making patches and multis and grooves. And I love, this is one of the cool ones. I love New World Power. Actually, did I show you also Mission Critical has this really huge, I love the hit. This sound right here. Oh, it's gonna go cycle around one more time. That just hits every now and then. So if you see the cycle. Here we go. One, two. Oh, my computer can't play it. Rats. Oh well. One note it can. Can't play chords. From Munich, Bavaria. From Germany. Awesome. Yeah, good for chords. That's the whole idea. Well, it's good for dance music, all sorts of things. Because remember, each of these multis are multiple parts. So you can go through and go. That's great for a dance techno track, you know? So it's not just for the cinematic, but it's definitely aimed more that way than my past offerings. I haven't worked on a film score in many years. I did work on some in Los Angeles many years ago, but yeah. Greets from Holland. Good to see you, Bernie. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Tim, good to see you. Good to see all of you. Be well. I will see you in the next live stream, probably next week. All sorts of new stuff we'll probably find in the next coming week to play with. All sorts of stuff going on. So be well. Hands together, head bowed. Be well. Bye. And see ya.